Well, of course, that mace has been found and we're told under a bridge in Abuja. Well, with us in the studio is a legal practitioner, Moyosore Onigbanjo. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you.
This action of seizing or stealing the mace has been described by the Senate as treason, or is it treasonable felony? If indeed it is treason, what are the implications?
Well, firstly is to say that while the incident that happened in the Senate is shameful and somewhat alarming, I don't think it goes so far as to label it as treason.
Okay.
Because I think undue importance is being attached to the mace in the National Assembly and in Nigeria. I say this because if you look at our Constitution, there is nowhere that the mace is referred to as the symbol of authority of the National Assembly. Throughout the entire Constitution, which creates the National Assembly, there is no reference to the mace as the symbol of authority. There is no section that says without a mace, the National Assembly cannot sit or exercise the powers given to it by the Constitution.
So what you're saying is, with or without the mace, the Senate can sit, and whatever deliberations or decisions it comes up with would be binding,
yes,
or would be legal. And
yes,
that's why Senator Shehu Sani actually offered his belt. It could have stood for, so it's just symbolic.
Yes, it's at best it's symbolic, and it's conventional rather than being what the law says. So
Okay.
it's a tradition that arose from the parliamentary system in the UK, where they carry the mace. But in Nigeria, if you look at the Constitution, it says the National Assembly can sit once there's a quorum. So once they attain the quorum, nothing stops them. But I'm aware that in their own rules, their own, I think they call it orders, or what do they call it, they say that they give credence to the mace. But then when you look at it, between their rules and the Constitution prevails.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to the major issue here, the real bone of contention. The reason why Agege was suspended in the first place was that, well, according to him, he had gotten a court order saying that the Senate could not go ahead with their decision. And the Senate did go ahead.
Yeah.
Was the Senate in breach of the Constitution by going ahead to suspend Agege?
If indeed there is a court order preventing the Senate from suspending Agege, then the Senate has no right to suspend him. Because no matter how the Senate feels about the propriety of that order, the thing to do is to go back to the court and say, look, you cannot stop parliamentary proceedings. Because that is what the rule of law says. So nobody can say in their wisdom and sit in the comfort of their dwelling place and say, oh, this court order is illegal, and as such, I'm not going to obey it. If we do that, the end result will be anarchy. So if a court order is obtained against anybody, and that person feels that this court order ought not to have been granted, the thing to do is to go back to that court and give reasons why the court should vacate the order, or why the order ought not to have been made in the first instance. We need to follow through the process. So one bad action cannot, two wrongs don't make a right, is the saying, which is the argument of the Senate, that, oh, no court can stop us from having proceedings. So
if that is the case, the suspension of this senator, what does it mean then? He stands suspended, or it's something, is an action that should be, or a decision that should be reversed?
If there's a court order saying that the Senate should not suspend him, then the subsequent attempt by the Senate to suspend him will not be recognized in law. So there is no suspension, so to speak, in view of a court order saying it cannot be suspended. So the thing for everybody is to go back to court to trash it out. But then again, I've argued in the past that even the Senate itself and the House of Reps, they don't have power to suspend any member. Because a member is elected by his constituency. The constituents who elected him, they have a right to be represented in the Senate. Nobody can take that right away from them except a court of law.
But it's not the first time the Senate would be suspending.
Yes, it's not the first time. Even when they did it the first time,
yes,
I had argued that they had no right to do it. It is because this had not been tested. If anybody who is suspended goes to court, I am very sure that the outcome will be that they have no right to suspend. Because the right to represent a constituency does not derive from the Senate. It derives from the people who elected that representative. So now, if that representative, for example, breaches the internal rules of the Senate, why do you punish the entire region that voted him in by saying you suspend him?
So what is playing out here? Is it a lack of understanding of what the law says, of what the Constitution says on the part of the senators or the Senate as a whole or as an institution? What exactly do you think is playing out?
What is playing out is simply politics, because I'm sure very well that most of them are well-educated people. Most of them know these facts. These arguments have been put before them before. But, you know, sometimes we think that, oh, because we are so powerful, we can ignore the law and do whatever we pleases or whatever we choose to do. That is what is happening. It's just simply politics. They know these arguments have been put before them before, that many legal scholars have said it, that you cannot suspend a senator or a member of the House of Reps because he's there to represent his constituency, he's there to represent certain people. You cannot deny those people a region. So Lagos State has 3 senators. So you cannot decide to deny an entire region of people, millions of people, of their voice in the National Assembly because you feel that that representative has breached an internal rule of the National Assembly.
All right, Moyosore Onigbanjo, thank you very much. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, shedding light on this. Of course, the debate continues over this one.
Yes.